Ultiworld's live streaming coverage of the USA Ultimate Division I College Championships is presented by Breakmark. Visit them on the web at breakmark.com.
The USA Ultimate Division I College Championships, where dynasties are built, legends are written, and legacies secured. Over 500 teams began this journey, but there will be only 2 left standing as champions.
Finals, the top seed, North Carolina Darkside, 3 times the reigning champions in their 10th consecutive semifinal, taking on SLOCORE, Cal Poly SLO, who's making their 3rd appearance in the semis in the last 5 years. Hello once again, everybody. Evan Leffler with Katie Killebrew. The rain keeps falling, but North Carolina does not. The women come back from a 13-9 deficit to survive and advance into their 4th straight final. And meanwhile, the North Carolina men in their 10th straight semifinal. Every semi since 2014. I thought we were going to have a repeat of 2013, the last time we were in Madison when they lost in quarters, because they were this close to losing to Oregon earlier today, but they're here again, Katie. And Cal Poly SLO feeling pretty good after their quarterfinal win over NC State.
In this tournament, every time I think I know what's going to happen, I'm wrong. And so I could say what my predictions are for this game, but I think one of the things we've seen in this tournament is that things can change on a dime, and both of these teams have been in really close games this weekend, and I'm looking for a really close game with small margins made by big players. Part
of that is the parity to the division, part of that is the conditions, and part of that is just the crazy amount of great players we have. Like this 6th-year veteran, Calvin Brown. He's already been a Callahan finalist, but he's back with unfinished business. One of the most dynamic playmakers on offense and defense, really, that this division has ever seen.
And he is a player who absolutely changes the shape of the field with his throws, known for that big flick, and really making an impact when it counts.
Well, he's a massive presence, and there's no doubt that at times today he'll be matched up with some of North Carolina's staples, perhaps Ben Dameron, who comes from Atlanta, Georgia, Paideia product, one of the few non-North Carolina natives on this UNC squad. But he has had so many moments at both club and college nationals. He is the heartbeat of this team.
And he just makes big plays in big moments, a really clutch player. We saw in some of the previous semis just an outpouring of emotion for this team after the game is over. But when you see him play on the field, he is cutthroat.
Ben Dameron with another opportunity in the national semifinals. It's not that windy, but the rain is coming down in sheets. Cal Poly SLO and North Carolina for a berth in tomorrow's championship game here at Nationals.
The 2024 USA Ultimate College Championships are presented by Discraft, home of the UltraStar, the official disc of USA Ultimate. Your place for all your ultimate and disc golf needs. Visit discraft.com. We make flying discs fun.
Well, we're pretty used to these conditions by now. Certainly the players and coaches know how to play when wet. And I think if it's just rain and not also fierce changing wind, then I think these teams will be able to put on a show. In the other men's semi, Colorado and Brown on the adjacent field. Brown University leading 5-4. That game started about 30 minutes ago. We're at the Redden Soccer Park, just outside of Madison. Initially, the plan was to have semifinals at Breeze Stevens Field, but there were a lot of initial plans that Mother Nature has laughed at when it comes to the schedule for 2024 College Nationals. Frankly, Katie, it's incredible that when we woke up this morning before 7 a.m. local time, we've gotten all these games in. There were 24 teams still alive looking for a championship across the two divisions. Right now, there are just 6. Stanford and North Carolina on the women's side of things. Colorado and Brown competing in one men's semi, and as the rain intensifies, the 3-time reigning champs in the men's division, UNC Darkside, in their white jerseys, getting set to battle Cal Poly SLO.
I cannot stress how hard it is raining all of a sudden. We've had drizzles, we've had this, but this is like a flood. It's like standing under a shower. If you had one small bit of you that was dry from earlier in the tournament, you are not dry any longer.
Pull goes out of bounds. Can bet this will be a semifinal that no one will forget anytime soon. Talk to these North Carolina coaches and players about the experience of going on this dynastic run. You don't ever want to take anything for granted. Just making nationals is special. Getting to a semi could be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for some people, but these are two programs that have found a home as elite competitors at the top of the division. Lefty backhand from Matt McKnight, and Ben Dameron rips a deep backhand. Freed in the end zone, rips it down. Eli Freed has been a goal-scoring machine this weekend for North Carolina.
Dameron being the thrower on that score. And you can see bodies just absolutely flying, sliding, almost creating a wave as they go. And then Freed catching this with 3 defenders pursuing. Opting for that backhand. It's a really great angle, great defensive play. But that's all Darkside.
Only Cal Nightingale with more goals in the men's division this weekend than Eli Freed, who just caught his 19th. Meanwhile, Ben Dameron with his 20th assist. That ranks 7th in the division. The top 2 assist throwers in this men's division, Leo Gordon and Jacques Nissen, both for Brown. Calvin Brown for Cal Poly SLO's number 3.
Well, playing in extra games is always good to add to your stat line.
But Brown with a suspect start. Calvin unable to release it exactly the way he wanted to, and he gifts Matt McKnight in North Carolina this early break chance, and there's a defensive mistake. The deep shot to the wide open Grayson Trowbridge. 2-0 Carolina in just a few throws.
Well, Carolina is making no beans about it. They don't care exactly how hard the water is going to come down. They're still going to throw and attack in that deep space as quickly and efficiently as they possibly can. That one from Calvin Brown coming out too fast. Maybe nerves, but maybe just not having quite as much of a grip on it, and McKnight calling his shot.
Defensive miscommunication. You say no beans about it. I don't think Beans Orser was involved in the miscommunication. He was guarding one of the lower cutters in the stack. But my goodness, a disastrous start for Cal Poly SLO, giving up the easy huck and then basically saying, here, have this break. will play from behind.
Yeah, if we're talking about mental energy and focus going into a semifinal, you have to think that Darkside has the advantage because they've made it past semifinals so many times, being in them, like you said, the last 10 consecutive years. But for Cal Poly SLO, it seems like a wall that they keep bashing their head against, and they're really trying to make it to the final this year.
But a bobble there and another mistake. This time Dodger Middlebrook with the Butterfingers. SLOCORE's O-line really needs to bear down right now and try and make life difficult for this UNC offense. Jack McCleary. You know, guys on this D-line have played in this game and have made big throws, like Andrew Lee looking for Rutledge Smith, who lays out. He's not in. Smith, quick dish, 3-0 UNC. Back-to-back breaks for Grayson Trowbridge. This is the exact opposite of the way Cal Poly SLO started their quarterfinal against NC State. But folks in the triangle don't need to be told this. There's a big difference between NC State and UNC, with all due respect to the boys in Raleigh. Different pressure going against the champs. Andrew Lee, the guy on this Darkside squad who the coaches said is most likely to be a coach in the future. A leader, a former captain, dishes deep to Rutledge Smith, who switched to the D-line mid-season this year. And then a quick little dishy to Trowbridge. Last year, UNC played Vermont in the semifinals. The conditions were much different than this. But North Carolina got a big game from Ben Dameron. Look at the nice sunshine, Katie. Isn't it beautiful?
It is. I saw a patch of it for a moment before the deluge of rain started. The North Carolina players just come up big in big moments. They seem to play fearlessly. They don't seem to care about who else is on the field with them except for their teammates. And I think that, you know, Cal Poly SLO took a timeout, really trying to stop the momentum of Darkside, as I didn't think it was possible, but even more rain continues to come down. But SLO is a team that plays best when they are having fun and moving and grooving. Like, you know, many teams you hear say, oh, we play best when we're playing our game, which is, you know, a shocking thing that happens for all teams. However, I think that when they play loose and they are a little bit goofier and they get that like defensive energy going, they play a lot better. So I want to get them to score so they can play defense for their own, you know, mental sake.
Out of the timeout, SLO has worked it across midfield. Anton Orm, one of the fulcrum pieces for this year's SLO team, gets it to Kyle Liu. Orm working with Liu. Dewan and Harmony working defensively. Now here's Seamus Robinson. Quick little give and go, and Robinson will take it into the end zone. SLOCORE is on the board.
And that is, I think, much more what Seamus Robinson and SLO wanted. They were moving the disc finally. They weren't holding it quite as long, and they were finding space outside of the UNC defenders. Robinson running that one out for the score. A little one elbow spike.
Poly SLO had a thrilling Universe Point victory over Colorado in pool play in the 4-5 game. Poly SLO made things a little more interesting than they wanted to in their final pool play game, but ultimately did take care of both Vermont and Michigan to finish off their 3-game Saturday. And then we were expecting to see Poly SLO against UMass, but NC State with the upset over Zudisk in quarters. NC State might have been a little gassed. Poly SLO came out hot and made a strong opening statement. NC State could not recover in the 15-9 victory for SLO. Much more controversy and competitiveness in Carolina's quarterfinal. There are a lot of folks out there that think Oregon should be playing in this game. And Micah Glass, the young star for Ego, celebrated like he had won. It looked like Ego had prevailed and knocked off Carolina, but Matt McKnight, who's got the disc right now, had apparently called a stall. It went as a contested stall. But disc hand blocked and intercepted, and a quick dish and a score and a break, and Poly SLO is back on track.
That defensive energy and pressure enlivening Poly SLO.
Carson Crouch got a piece of the Carolina throw and then catches the goal after the interception. So first turn of the game for UNC. And this rain continues to be unrelenting. So Crouch deflected it, and then Riley picked it off and quickly dished to number 72. Greeted by Keaton Orser and the rest of his excited sideline. So just to finish the point on North Carolina in the quarters, Katie, certainly some controversy. Now, you made a good point. Kind of eerily reminiscent of the club national championships last year when a call took the victory away from Boston Dig. There's been some comparisons there, and then obviously Truck Stop went on to win the national championship after squeaking past the team from Boston. I will say the Oregon squad handled the adversity with incredible class. I was impressed with Dylan Freechild, the coach of Oregon, former star for Oregon, who insisted that his players hold their heads up, brought the team together. As Pignoni shoots long, Dylan Hawkins did not have position, but he makes the catch anyway around Alex Nelson, and then trying to get it to the end zone. Did he do it again? Are you kidding me? Can the bounces go Darkside's way this frequently at Nationals?
What high flying play.
Multiple deflections after the initial catch from Hawkins. Tip.
Let's get this resolved quickly.
Hard to say. That was definitely down. There are no blades of grass. This is a turf field. Call retracted. It's a score and an improbable one. Just like North Carolina's quarterfinal comeback against Oregon. Wow. Dylan Hawkins playing a game of Plinko out there. And it's 4-2 UNC.
Really good focus through the deflection as that disc wobbles. Two players getting a play on it, and they're right on the edge of that up-down line.
And I'm hoping we can go back and take another look at the deep shot that Hawkins went up over Nelson, who looked like he had the block. And I mean, if ever there was a catch your D's refrain from the sideline, here's the initial huck. Pignoni seeing Hawkins go, and Hawkins has become a beast in the air. No doubt that one stayed up.
Zach Riley really making an impact on defense there.
Dameron picks up his second assist, and UNC doubling up Cal Poly SLO 4-2. Looking long. This one hanging up, but it will fade out of bounds after the block from McCleary.
McCleary knew that was coming almost before the throw went up, really reading what Cal Poly SLO wanted to do and taking that away.
Looks like a contact call. Andrew Lee with a fresh count. Marked by Orm. Gets it to Rutledge Smith. Contact away from the play. Think about Rutledge Smith, Katie. He's a guy who's been a stalwart on the O-line since he joined the program. And then at one point in the middle of the season, the coaches said, what if we move Kevin Pignoni over to O and add Rutledge to D? And as a defensive cutter, converting off turns, he's been just as good as he was on O.
Pignoni, on the other hand, really being the spirit of the D-line, and so it was a really big emotional switch up too, but I think adding that defensive intensity to the O-line and vice versa has been a really good mix-up for Chapel Hill.
Dameron through Smith's hands, and an uncharacteristic turnover for Carolina. Orm over to Nelson. UNC playing pretty good defense in the red zone, making SLO work for it. But SLO's willing to work. Calvin Brown, Scuba to the back of the end zone, will not work. We know Calvin's got those tools in his bag, but I'm not sure that long red zone possession in the rain was the right spot for that Scuba.
It seems just a little bit too casual in that the time that it took to get to the receiver is too long, given how tight defense is covering towards the back of the stack.
We only had 3 total turnovers in the first 6 points of the game. Had 3 turnovers so far on this point. Carolina back-to-back breaks out of the gate, made it 3-0. SLO got a break back to make it 3-2. This is a deep point for Darkside. Luke Dewan keeps it rolling. Hawthorne Ham back to Rutledge Smith. And now Dameron. The rain has lightened up, and it is getting lighter, although the mist is still falling. And Dameron takes a timeout. We've seen these UNC stars cross over a lot. McKnight plays most deep points, but they'll mix him in on offense. Rutledge Smith will play big points on O. Obviously, Kevin Pignoni. And as we expected might happen with it getting brighter, there's a rainbow forming in the distance, Katie, and just creating another majestic scene here at Nationals.
You couldn't ask for more than that. The rainbow after the rain. Maybe it's over, and maybe the water has stopped and given us another pristine opportunity.
The folks from Ultiphotos are going to be going bonkers. Hopefully this means that we are in the clear, although I'm not foolish enough to think that. But my, this is quite a scene here in Madison. Nature is a pretty special thing. Now, who does the rainbow benefit most, do you think, Katie?
It's an impossible question to answer, Evan. I think that currently the timeout is going to benefit both teams, but mostly UNC because they get a fresh look at a play.
Well, Dylan Hawkins fumbles away the restart. Fourth turn of the point. And another strange drop from Cal Poly. Seamus Robinson misplayed it. Hawkins crossing over and playing D, working with Andrew Lee. A surreal scene here at College Nationals with a rainbow and the sun trying to shine through. The three-time defending champs just keep on trucking along. 5-2. Darkside breaks again.
Surreal is definitely the way to put it, Evan. I mean, that is what it must feel like to be Cal Poly SLO. They are here in this situation again, just digging themselves a little bit into a hole in the semis. You really wish you could, you know, wake up and say, oh, we haven't started the semis yet. That was a dream. Weird rainbow point that we've played, but it's not. They've gone down to the team that you really, really don't want to get down to. And they're gonna have to make some kind of Herculean effort, especially on defense, to make that happen. And if they have stars who can do it, we've seen them do it. We saw how pristine and perfect they could be earlier in the tournament when they played Colorado.
I like how you put it. And looks like we're gonna have another rainbow point. Sam Reddenbow with a goal from Rutledge Smith, second assist for Rutt. Calvin Brown, an important possession here for Cal Poly SLO. These two teams did not meet in the regular season this year. Last meeting at Nationals was the semifinal back in 2019 in Texas. Brown, another ambitious shot. Seamus Robinson can't make the play. Great defense by Henry Chen. Darkside's D-line on the march again. Lee back for McKnight. Casually lefties it over for Andrew Lee. And now Rutledge Smith doing what he does. As the rainbow begins to fade, Carolina's championship dreams again seem to be getting brighter. Although that turnover hurts the cause, a little too high for Grayson Trowbridge. And Carolina misses a break chance there.
I feel like every time we say something is happening, then the teams on the field decide to do the exact opposite.
It's that kind of weekend. Didn't you say that there might be some lightning around 5 o'clock? You have the wrong meteorological phenomenon.
I guess I don't
5
know.
p.m. rainbow.
I don't know that I was wrong yet. I hope I'm wrong.
Oh my goodness. What is going on? Another inexplicable drop from a great player in Calvin Brown. You don't take down the champs with plays like that. McKnight unable to get off the huck. He wanted it. Andrew Lee will sky one. Rutledge Smith sees his position. With two defenders close by, Rutledge Smith, the one that takes charge. It's another break for Grayson Trowbridge and North Carolina Darkside. My goodness.
Feels a little bit, Evan, that we are both, maybe it's a Twilight Zone thing. We are both simultaneously in North Carolina's dream and Cal Poly's nightmare. For a team that has played so clean through most of the weekend, they've had so many miscues in this beginning couple of points.
Turf from Brown, drop from Middlebrook. Strange choice on the Scuba. And then Calvin again fumbles possession away. Andrew Lee, look at this play by Rutledge Smith. Calvin Brown just hanging out. What's going on?
Lou was in position there and didn't, I think, anticipate Rutledge Smith coming through. Calvin Brown maybe thinking that disc was gonna go up longer. And another timeout taken, trying to just change the story.
Well, there's a lot of smart coaches and excellent leaders on this Cal Poly staff. You know, Tim Gilligan was taken over when Cody Mills moved to the East Coast after Cody helped bring this program back to prominence. But Cody couldn't quite quit coaching and has continued to be one of the leaders from afar. Tyler Bacon, an alum, part of the support staff as well. But this is not the start that Cal Poly SLO envisioned here today. Six of the first 8 goals for the 3-time reigning champs. A lot of the same faces staying out there, including Brown and Lou. That's another error, but it will work out okay for Cal Poly. And Kyle Lou has the disc. Not 25 yards out. Difficult around reset. Past the defender Lee. Back to Brown. Orm into the end zone for Robinson.
Finally getting that clean possession that they really wanted. I think that UNC is doing a really good job of challenging the reset space for SLO. But in this case, they finally found those outlets and were creating a little bit more space. We see Robinson dancing. He has really been one of the emotional leaders of the team for a long time. And I think it's there. Now we can see the sun has gone down, and judging by the way those jerseys are whipping against the backs of Cal Poly SLO, the wind has picked up fiercely.
And you knew that rainbow was too good to be true or to last very long. What a scene for a few minutes at least. We'll see what Mother Nature has in store for us over the course of the next hour. Matt Gushohannes, 5 years as a player, won 2 championships, and now has been a part of 3 championships as a coach, working alongside David Allison, Ben Snell, Anders Junks, Daniel Zhang, other North Carolina alums now on the coaching staff. Daniel Zhu, excuse me. Not Daniel Zhang, Daniel Zhu.
Cal Poly SLO is coming out in their zone again, which they did such a good job to limit Colorado in their deep game. And they're doing the same thing currently for UNC to try to really limit the hucking ability. in the initial parts of the point.
Tough catch there. Eli Freed able to handle it. Eli and his brother Seth have been huge for Carolina, but that reset throw bamboozled by the wind. And now the disc is just playing tricks on everybody. That was a really difficult catch. Now every throw seemingly is challenging, and Freed wins possession back for his team. That's part of the crazy thing about the conditions here at Nationals. It'd be one thing if it was always rainy or always windy or always rainy and windy, but we're vacillating between all these different issues. McKnight's got it. Back to Pignoni. And now Dameron. And Dameron makes gaining big chunks of yards feel really easy sometimes. Excellent instincts, obviously great speed and agility. Good hands from Pignoni. The younger Freed brother, Seth. Smooth lefty, Pignoni, a floater, deflected in the air and to the ground, but there's a foul called.
Wind picking up significantly, swirling around as these players have a discussion about the foul call by McKnight.
Sorry, are you calling foul or dangerous play? So if I was jumping up to catch it, I would have caught it. He jumps into me, hits me in the head. Would that be a dangerous play or a foul?
I'm not going to give you guidance on that. You have to make your own call.
I mean, I thought if I said, man. Yeah, you say it. I saw I went up and you didn't jump and I got it. Yeah, but I was standing still and you hit into me, right? Would you agree with that? I mean, do you agree that you hit me? It's like the tiniest bit as I'm going through. Like, I'm not. Bye.
Okay, listen, we have a foul contest. Okay, we have a foul contest. Do you want to come to the observer for a ruling or not?
Yeah, we could.
Okay, observer ruling. Got the block before there was contact.
Was that a dangerous play then?
Not a dangerous play. Not a dangerous play.
I got hit in the head.
No, not a dangerous play.
All right, the call made by Jonathan Monforti, who's gone from the booth to the field, and from the field to the booth, we've got Jonna Hamaker with us as our observing officiating expert. First question I've got for you, can you call a foul and a dangerous play at the same time?
You can. In that case, especially since there's contact, and I think the player here was thinking the head contact was dangerous, and the observer said no.
So Monforti's opinion is the one that matters. Jonna, before we let you go, is it up to the player to call a dangerous play, or should the observer be in charge of the dangerous play?
So it's a little bit of both. So the player can call a dangerous play, and if it's uncontested, it's an automatic yellow. But if a dangerous play isn't called and the observer determines it is a dangerous play, a yellow card can still be given.
All right, appreciate the clarification. Try to understand. Alex Nelson, Kyle Liu shooting deep, and Seamus Robinson brings it in. Holy cow, what a sequence. Back and forth, turnovers, quick changes of possession, and then an even quicker conversion for Cal Poly SLO with their second break.
I feel stunned. There was a couple of D's, layouts. There was a stone cold drop here from
Just took his eye off it.
Carolina, and then this beautiful throw goes up to Robinson, who they trust to make big plays in big moments. Seamus Robinson.
He's feeling himself right now. His third goal. He scored 3 of the 4 for SLOCORE.
Last year at Nationals, Seamus Robinson was coming back from a knee injury and played huge at Nationals, but certainly wasn't coming in at 100%. And this year coming into the tournament, he decided that he was well. Whatever that meant, he said he was like, I'm going to show up and play at Nationals. His coach has said, we don't know how he does it, but he always shows up to play in big moments, and we are the beneficiaries of that big game energy.
McKnight hits Pignoni underneath. Back to McKnight. Shooting it for Freed. Anton Orm there defensively, and Freed went up first, but he could not bring it down. North Carolina had a 6-2 lead, but showing some signs of being mortal. That was a very low throw. Watching it live, I thought Alex Yanelli did keep it up. I beg your pardon, that's Anton Orm.
The crowd chanting up, Orm not getting off of his knees.
It is being ruled up. If we're playing on a different field and the grass was a little taller, it might have been down, but on this turf, Cal Poly SLO maintains possession. Orm marked by Freed, gives it back to Lou. And a drop from Whalen. McKnight quickly to Smith. Josh Singleton has been quiet so far for Carolina. Pignoni patiently waiting, finds Dameron. And he forced it up the line. McKnight was sort of half-heartedly cutting. And now Kyle Lou sending Calvin Brown, and it's just off the fingertips for the Cal Poly SLO vet. This has gotten sloppy here these last few points.
Well, that happens when the wind keeps changing directions. It's bouncing all over the place. There's maybe a little bit of a stadium effect happening, but also when momentum changes, you can have a lot of turnovers in one point as the teams figure out really who wants it more.
You're absolutely right. That's part of the amazing nature of UNC's success. As the shot goes up, Hawkins reads it well and converts the hold for UNC. Somehow, some way, Katie, this program does not seem satisfied. I mean, I don't know what would satisfy them at this point, but they still have a hunger to pursue excellence every day. And they know they're not invincible. They know they're not infallible, but they also know that they're good. And they are 1 point away from taking half here on SLOCORE.
They sometimes force it into certain areas. They know they're not infallible, but they also seem to have this indelible belief in themselves and their team's ability to win. And I think that they do that also by not relying necessarily on one player, but they say, if I'm not going to get it, if I turn it over, somebody on my team is going to get it back. And obviously, if you have the depth that UNC does, it's a little bit easier to believe that because you see your players who are, national and world caliber players making plays like that all the time in practice.
Kyle Lou shows the hops, keeps it alive. The wind continues to be a factor. Orser to Robinson. Seamus gives it back to the center handler, Kyle Lou. Anton Orm.
There's a little bit of a poach look happening for North Carolina, and they're really taking away the deep space and forcing miscues with lots of throws, giving North Carolina the disc for their D-line.
Whalen's drop gives Darkside a chance to take it to half. Andrew Lee surveys patiently and then throws a laser right off Rutledge Smith's ribs. Smith probably thinks he should have had it. He probably should have.
An injury pulling a player off the field.
Noah Bush replacing Jack McCleary for North Carolina. McCleary may have lost a contact, not sure. Orser up the line, and nearly a block there for Redenbow. Confusion. Second chance for Carolina to take half. Smith working with Andrew Lee. Dameron, difficult grab. Observer rules him inbounds. Beg your pardon, that's Bush, not Dameron. Smith with a defender on his back. And Lee shooting it long. Trowbridge, 3 goals already. Not this time. The 13th turnover of the last 3 points between these two typically sure-handed teams, but again, as Katie mentioned, that does speak to the conditions. But we've also seen some tough drops both ways. In a lot of ways, Ultimate is a game of just being steady and who can be steadier, who can make fewer mistakes. But the whims of 175 grams of plastic will have something to say about it too.
And you know, being two teams who don't turn the disc over quite as often, these conditions might be playing into their mentality, because obviously it's more difficult to throw and catch in the wind, so you might have a higher percentage, like a higher number of turnovers without it really being necessarily a bad thing. But if you're so turnover averse, any turnover feels like a bad thing to happen, and it can really start to get in your head.
Foul called right there. Luke Dewan with the disc, marked by Middlebrook. Over in the other men's semi, Brown leads Colorado 10-8.
Contact was called.
Here it's North Carolina in front 7-4. Colorado and Cal Poly SLO both coming out of Pool D. UNC and Brown both coming out of Pool A. Lee sending this one. Redenbow, one of 3 Darkside players going long, but that one is way too long, or way too wide, more appropriately.
You know, I'm watching the flags in the background, and every time I look at them, they're blowing in a different direction. And I think teams are able to adjust pretty quickly to wind that is unidirectional, but this is truly a 360 swirling change for these players.
Six turns on this particular point. Orm makes the grab. Plays it back for Lou. Floating it for Whalen. It was 15-10 5 years ago in Texas when these two schools met in the semis. Yikes. This is just a battle of attrition right now. And in some ways that's an unforced error. In some ways it's the wind. Just need to focus every fiber of your being on making sure you have possession before you think about what's next. Sloppiest point of the game, 7 turns. Another deep shot. Henry Chen elevates and he calls a foul. He was unable to bring it down, but it appeared like there was contact.
No contest. Wilkes, you're going to the back line. I'm pushing.
So in that case, between those two players, there's a no contest, but this is not going to necessarily be a score. He's going to get possession and then walk it to the end zone line, and everybody else is unfrozen essentially and allowed to move.
Darkside needs at least one more throw. Andrew Lee couldn't shake free, but Rutledge Smith could. And Rutledge Smith marching his celebratory dance along the back line of the end zone. Darkside breaks to take half, 8-4 over SLOCORE.
I almost feel stunned that it's half because that point took so long. The last several points had so many turnovers. It feels a little more difficult to place ourselves in where this is happening. But 8-4 is half.
Well, 7 of the 12 points in the first half, Katie, were scored by the team that pulled. 5 breaks for UNC to go along with 3 holds. Cal Poly SLO's offense got help from the D-line with a couple breaks, but only held twice compared to the 5 breaks allowed. And that is clearly the difference in the game right now. Rutledge Smith continuing his march to immortality. We're joined now by Darkside coach David Allison. DA, how would you describe the conditions that we're playing in between the wind, the rainbow, and your opponent?
This game's got everything, right? It's got some rain, some wind, some great D, some great throws. 2 teams that are here battling out for a spot to semifinals. Sorry, to finals.
We've seen a couple of drops and miscues happen because of the wind. How do you talk to your players when they have a turn like that and they're coming off on the sideline?
I don't think there's much conversation with them in those specific moments. They know that accidents happen and we're not going to be perfect. So short memory and on to the next one. I think we can work on some more just two-handed catches, especially above our heads. We've dropped a couple in the end zone where I think we would have secured them if we got 2 hands on the ball, but that might be the one tactical thing that we talk about at halftime.
David, this weekend has been unlike any nationals your team has been a part of, and you're certainly experienced. How has your group adapted to the strange and changing conditions, both on and off the field this weekend?
I think it just boils down to trust. Trust in the leadership to get us in the right spot, to get us warm and ready to play. Trust in the game plan to put us in a position to be successful on the field. And just trust in each other to all do our jobs.
DA, appreciate the time. Best of luck going forward. You see the end of the women's semi?
I did catch the very end. It was very exciting.
That was bonkers. Good luck finishing this one off. We'll see you in a bit. Thanks.
Thanks, Evan.
David Allison, part of the brain trust for this Darkside program that is in pursuit of a historic 4th consecutive national title. Carolina comfortably in front at halftime. We're back here in this men's semifinal. North Carolina leads Cal Poly SLO 8-4. We've got SLOCORE coach Tim Gilligan wired up. Tim, thanks for joining us. I don't think it's too bold to say that clearly wasn't your finest half of Ultimate. What is the message to your team? Because you know it's going to take a much better performance to slay this giant UNC.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it was a pretty windy game. I think it's a little bit closer than the score might indicate, just based on like how many turns both teams have had. Things are going a little bit better for them on some of those breaks. But I think the message is just like, look, don't think about the score. It's one throw at a time, one catch at a time. We had some throws and catches that didn't work out, and those fall our way. Like, it's a lot closer than it looks.
You have a couple players who've had some drops. Do you do a little bit of a mentality management in between points for those players when you're trying to get them back on the line?
I'm not really worried about anyone's mentality, to be honest. I think this team we're pretty mature. We have a lot of veterans. There's a lot of fight. There's a lot of dogs out there, and we just want to keep pushing.
Tim, do you want to rely on those big dogs, Calvin, Kyle, Seamus, to get you, or do you want to try to lean into your depth and maybe give some guys opportunities to make a play?
We trust the guys who got us here. We trust our whole team, really, but you know, there are definitely guys that got us here, and we feel good about the way we've called lines and the way that we've taken the game so far.
All right, Tim, thanks for joining us. Best of luck going forward. Hey, in the women's semis, we saw comebacks from 4 goals down in both games, so I know you guys will keep fighting.
I still like us.
Tim Gilligan, who was a really good player in his own right, both at Cal Poly SLO and then with Revolver in the Bay Area, part of several championship teams in the club division. Now leading this Cal Poly SLO team. A year ago at Nationals, he was just a month or so away from becoming a father. He's now about 10, 11 months into that new journey as well. Wish him and his wife all the best.
Although I think in this moment, as momentous as parenthood is, you have to be thinking about the players that you coach in this moment, because rain or shine, this game will be over an hour from now, and we will know the 2 finalists. And this SLO team wants it to be them. They have been so hungry, knocking on the door of that finals appearance and falling short for the last couple years. If I was a player on this team, it would be hard for me to stay in this moment and to keep believing and having faith.
Well, if we talk about the Darkside D-line, Grayson Trowbridge has been an important contributor. He's got 3 goals for 3 different breaks over the course of the first half here today.
He just has so much fight towards the end zone line, busting into spaces, really creating space after playing intense defense.
Rutledge Smith, a spectacular play. Trowbridge got the easier goal there. Grayson's made a bunch of great plays too. Both those guys out there now to start this second half. Redenbow marking Brown. Lou catches the under, gives it right back to Calvin. Dylan Hawkins crossing over for this deep point for UNC. He's downfield on Robinson.
Currently, it's just Calvin Brown and Orm playing catch until they get it to Robinson.
Right back to Brown. Meanwhile, on the other field, Brown has a 12-9 lead over Colorado. When UNC played Brown first day of this tournament, it was a game marred by stoppages. We could see the rematch. Hopefully we'd get it all through within one game without any breaks. But certainly Calvin Brown has different visions. Wants to deny that rematch and bring SLOCORE to the finals for the first time. 8-5 after that turnover-free hold to start the second half.
The defense for UNC doing a really good job of denying upfield options, and where we'd seen miscues in previous points, SLO is actually doing a really good job of handler moving and changing that point of attack a little bit and eventually working their way up into the end zone.
So a bunch of guys that were on the field for that last point staying out there. Orm, Lou, certainly Brown. They got the big dogs on the line. Meanwhile, UNC's O-line continues to be pretty steady. McKnight crossing over now, playing out there with Dameron, Pignoni, Eli and Seth Freed, Dylan Hawkins, and Josh Singleton.
Wind catching that pull and pushing it out of bounds.
Both these teams won their pool, so they were off for the 8 a.m. round this morning, but both were about here at 10 a.m. for quarterfinals. Hopefully got to dry off a little bit before starting to warm up again in a downpour for this one. We've had downpour, we've had gale force winds, we've had a rainbow. Everything but frogs falling from the sky. Here's Singleton to McKnight.
SLO is playing a poach scheme, again, trying to, they're giving up a reset, but they're denying that huck look, especially early in the point, and then they're playing very tight upfield. We've seen them get back into games with their defensive pressure, but UNC is currently not buckling.
Dameron. Pretty good defense from Crouch on Singleton downfield. So Pignoni and Dameron with a little give and go. Inside break for Hawkins. He's not in yet. Pignoni. Dameron shut down by Max Gade in the end zone. And now Dameron breaks free. And do we have a call? No, it's a score. Ben Dameron really was that open.
The handler defenders for SLO were switching, or as some people would say, rolling. And as that happened, they missed that space and left a really big around break window that UNC took and found Dameron in that space. Dameron's so aware of right where that end zone line is as he makes that cut.
So a 4-goal lead again for Darkside.
And that's the snack table put out by the Darkside parents. And I say snack table lightly because it's really much more of a charcuterie spread that is a high-level snack situation for the Darkside players.
Yeah, you get hungry walking around these fields, and to see some of the spreads that the parents have put together.
It's an elevated snack game from what I remember being a player.
Yes, indeed. Well, the sport has risen at all sorts of levels, but mostly snacking. Can Cal Poly SLO march it down the field with an easy conversion? And then more importantly, can they fluster the UNC O-line? Darkside did need 18 passes on their last possession before Hawkins finally hit Dameron for the score. Little hiccup there, but Orm maintains possession. Here's Orser.
A pick a long time ago is, I think, what happens.
By the way, the disc in the hands of Keaton Orser. He got the nickname Beans, Katie, as the throw goes up. It's intercepted by Luke Duan. Got the nickname Beans because his mom was called Keatsy Beansy. She called him Keatsy Beansy, and Beans stuck. There was another Keaton on the team early on, so they needed something else, and, well, Beans was the name. That's his Frisbee name now. This is a huck to nobody, although Rutledge Smith is going to run it down.
It did hang long enough that if somebody had started a little bit earlier, we could have seen a spectacular bid there. Rutledge Smith's doing a good job to be sure.
I'll be honest, Katie, it feels like we're going to get another chapter of UNC versus Brown, but I felt certain that Pleiades was done earlier this afternoon, and that turned out not to be true. So that perhaps is good news for Cal Poly SLO. Certainly lots of time before the cap. But SLOCORE just not playing with the crispness required to take down a team like North Carolina right now. And the wind is not being friendly to SLOCORE.
UNC came in as the deserved 1 seed.
2 losses in the season for Darkside, 4 losses in the season for Cal Poly SLO. These two teams are combined 79-6, including nationals. They're both 5-0 here in Madison this weekend. Robinson keeps it alive. To Brown, to the end zone for the score. James Whalen hauls it in for his first goal of the game.
Ooh, back within 3, I think the crowd is starting to get a little bit more involved. I heard some screaming and yelling on those high releases, I think before the wind was taking them, and that one just sat perfectly, coming back in towards the front cone. Calvin Brown maybe taking a point off, but after a throw like this, you could see that it just maybe was affected a little bit, but put in such a good spot over the rest of the players and into a scoring position.
Second assist for Brown, but he's also got a team high 6 throwaways.
That happens. When you're the player who touches the disc the most, very often you also have the highest amount of turnovers, just because the usage and the number of throws that you throw. But sometimes it's big turnovers and big moments, and I think the more turnovers we notch in this game, the less credence I might give to those. But we'll see how it turns out numbers wise in the end.
Pignoni to McKnight and Dameron. If you're Cal Poly SLO, you want to make UNC try to take as many throws as they need, force them to hope that the wind will impact something sooner or later. Darkside looking solid and steady. McKnight gets free. Back to Dameron. Seth Freed. Seth Freed is a freshman, and it looks like he's been playing college ultimate for a half decade, like a lot of these other players. Just solid, steady, poised, composed, talented.
He's been fitting in really seamlessly into this Darkside system. Might have something to do with the amount of games he's watched.
Could be a factor. Dylan Hawkins started his career at NC State, now in pharmacy school at Chapel Hill, and he throws the assist to Ben Dameron, the Paideia product, who's looking for his 4th consecutive championship with UNC. 10-6.
Defensively on that point, Cal Poly SLO started out in more of a zone or junk look, really taking away those options, and they're trying to do a straight up mark, but the fakes of UNC are good enough to move that mark, and then they're hitting that inside lane where the upfield defenders are assuming that the mark is going to take away, and it's really good work by UNC to kind of chip away at that angle over and over again, and it takes a lot of patience in the wind, and you can just see the SLO's players starting to look winded. If you had to guard Dameron and Hawkins all the way down the field, and they just won't cough up a turnover. It's got to be so frustrating.
25 passes that possession for UNC. Just like the last 0 point, it finishes Hawkins to Dameron. Ben's got the last 2 North Carolina goals. And we have seen 4 straight holds out of the gate here in the second half, following UNC's 8-4 first half advantage.
Looks like a bit of a backhand force, trying to trap on that sideline. A changeup from their previous directional forces.
Robinson takes the backhand deep shot. It's hanging up there. And Whalen reads it well and beats Andrew Lee to the spot to make it 10-7.
Well, sometimes you make adjustments on defense that just don't work out for you. That seems like one of the easier SLO scores that we've seen. Whalen does such a good job to what I would call S-cut, right? Go out into space and then have space to come back into to attack in that space, moving their defender just enough to make that look easy.
So now Matt Gusho-Hannes addresses the offense. Cody Mills, Tim Gilligan addressing the Cal Poly D-line, talking about matchups and how to try and fluster this hardened group of champions.
I will say they are forcing North Carolina to throw more and more throws each point, which is usually the mark of a good defense as they learn the offense and really get inroads. But as we're getting towards the later half of this game, are they making those learning moments too late?
Pignoni initiates to Singleton. Layout grab.
Forcing a really difficult reset there.
Singleton's the guy that was just a true freshman for the fall championship in 21. So he's just a junior in college, but he's going for his 4th national championship. I don't think anyone ever again will win 4 national titles in 3 years. Like he's won 3 in 2 years. Fall nationals held in 2021 after the pandemic continued into the spring of 21. McKnight sending Seth Freed, turns on the Jets and runs it down in the back corner of the end zone. Seth Freed is the impact freshman on this year's Darkside squad. 11-7, Carolina.
The pressure that SLO was able to put on UNC for so long was so impressive. And then finally, just a little bit of blown coverage, a mark that moved a little bit too far, opening up a throwing lane, or a switch that didn't happen quite as effectively in the backfield, left Freed open, and he absolutely stormed all the way to the end zone, turning almost 360 in order to get to that space, being sure in that back end zone corner. And who would put it but McKnight?
And in these conditions, to get that throw to sit in that exact spot in the back corner and give Freed a chance to run it down.
I think relying on the wind in this game is a trap, because there are throwers who can clearly throw in it, so just assuming that they aren't going to throw deep just because it's extraordinarily difficult doesn't mean that they won't, and you won't get caught out.
Over in the other field, Brown leads 14-12 over Colorado. Here it's UNC up 11-7. We've seen North Carolina and Brown in the finals twice in the last 4 years, not too far away from it being 3 times in 5 nationals that UNC and Brown meet in the finals, and they met in the semis in the fall of 21 as well. Nice backhand rising to Orser, and then another high release or a low release shot that Calvin Brown just rushed.
Yeah, getting the front edge of that disc angled up, caught the wind, made the disc into a kite, and sailed out of bounds. And now McKnight is going downwind. I'd be surprised if he gets a high stall count if he doesn't just punt it.
There's the half field punt. Seamus Robinson rips it down. Cal Poly SLO trying to break. I should try to fast break. It will be a hold if they can convert. And they will. Calvin Brown gets it back. The question is, does Cal Poly SLO defense not just slow UNC down, but prevent them from scoring and take the disc away?
It's certainly a tall task, but we've seen bigger comebacks, not just in this tournament, but today. We saw them in semifinals last round. And so if they can execute like that at the front of the end zone and throwing big breaks around hard defensive schemes, then sure they can make a comeback. But it has to start very soon, if not now. Start now. Why not now? They have nothing to lose. No matter what happens, after tomorrow, your season is over.
Yeah.
So you might as well leave it all on the field.
Folks like to talk about that. You know, everybody comes into nationals knowing that this is, you know, a celebration of the season. You made it to nationals. Obviously, only one team can hoist that trophy on Memorial Day Monday. Darkside has been in the final every year since they were shocked by Jack Williams and J.D. Hastings come back 2017 in Cincinnati. 2018 beat Pitt in the final in Milwaukee. Brown upset, or I shouldn't say upset, beat UNC. Texas in 2019. Darkside's won every year since.
McKnight unleashed to Dameron, gaining so many yards, and then the entire field moved up.
Eli Freed Calmly resets. Kevin Pignoni, laser to the back of the end zone. And it's a strike for Seth Freed. 12-8 UNC. Winner of this game will officially face Brown University. Brownie in motion has had one memorable Sunday at Nationals. Beating Michigan in pre-quarters, taking down the 2-seed Georgia in quarters, and they just beat the 4-seed Colorado to advance to the final again. 15-12 is the final over there.
I'm so impressed also with Kevin Pignoni's throws that we just got another look at, because he is throwing upwind. We've seen so many other throws elevate or float or go in other directions, but that was an absolute pinpoint laser through defenders. That is usually not the hallmark throw of a guy who played a D-line handler, but he's really settled into this O-line and is a really nice counterpoint to Mike McKnight, who throws big, huge throws. It's good balance there for the UNC side. I like it.
A lot of folks have tried to make this Darkside team into the villains, and it's almost understandable with all the success as Calvin Brown uncorks a deep prayer, and it's almost caught by Alex Nelson, but ticks off his fingertips after it was misplayed by the UNC defender.
There's definitely some jockeying for position as those two players made their way into the deep space.
Eli Freed in pursuit, but better defense from Whalen. The sideline trying to will SLOCORE back into this game.
Really well read way for Whalen to jump before the intended receiver.
Calvin Brown takes the easy throw to Anton Orm. Orm over the top, finds the open man. Dodger Middlebrook wants to eat some more. We'll see if they let him stay out there and play D.
I was just going to compliment Calvin Brown for taking the easy option and doing that reset, but the stifling defense up front from UNC meant that the only place where a player was free was in that backspace, and Orm did such a good job to put it where that receiver could receive it. You can see here he has it, and it's just so much upfront action. Everyone's fronting, not having an easy reset, and then just slices over the top to Middlebrook, who was heads up and waiting.
Our defense is 6. We're gonna break through. We're gonna get an opportunity. Let's have it be this one right here. Okay? Let's go! Come on! Pressure's building!
They call them Tim timeouts. That one taken by SLO, and you can hear Coach Tim Gilligan saying, why not right now? A celebration timeout of that score, but infusing some ingenuity, some belief, that something into their team to try to get a moment.
Well, he's absolutely right when he says they've created pressure. They've made some things difficult for Carolina. They just haven't translated that into a turn or a break here in the second half. Carolina's O-line has not turned the disc over in this second half, which isn't to say that they were flawless in the first half, because they were far from it. When the wind was whipping up, we had a handful of very sloppy points.
Yeah, the end of that first half was not my most favorite bit of Ultimate I've ever watched. But in this second half, we've seen some really great offensive flow, great defensive pressure, and players making big plays. And I think that that's what we want from a semifinal. We actually want to see what these players can do, not what they can do in gross, nasty conditions, but what kind of ultimate can they play. And I think that that is something that, as the rain has let up, let it stay away so that we can be treated to the game that we deserve.
Amen. And a turnover. Dropped by Singleton. Calvin Brown with a rising stall count. Lefty backhand snagged by Whalen. Back to Brown. Layout, reset, snag for Orm. Robinson gets a touch on the goal line. Dameron defending the closest slow cutter. The swing finds Brown, he's not in, but now SLO converts the break. Brown to Orm. SLOCORE within 2.
This is the game we deserve. That kind of energy is what we want. This is what the crowd is out here standing in the wind and rain and cold. They want to witness something special. And with that kind of energy, SLO has put us within 2 points of something special.
At some point in the past few minutes, Katie, subconsciously, you become the preacher.
I'll take that.
The wind is picking up a little bit.
How dare it?
Well, we'll see what that means for North Carolina offense. It could be exactly what Poly SLO needs.
I mean, so far, North Carolina has not blinked at wind, rain, rainbows, and absolute audience pressure in the opposite direction. They just play their own game, and we're going to see if they can do it again.
Well, this is the only game still going on here at the Redden Soccer Park in Madison, Wisconsin. Nationals here in Madison for the first time since 2013. That was the last time North Carolina did not make it to semis, but they're here in semis in Madison, escaping in controversial fashion against Oregon earlier. And UNC 3 points away from another trip to the finals. Seeking Singleton, incomplete. McKnight overthrows Josh Singleton, and Poly SLO has the disc down by 2.
We've seen him connect there, but that one just taking a little bit too far. Calvin Brown is tapping the disc in.
Calvin Brown has played almost every point in this game. And he rips an outrageous backhand. Samish Robinson was there, and he cannot catch it. But he might be calling a foul. Kevin Pignoni, the closest Carolina defender. Call has been rescinded.
Hey, we're gonna ground check to start. We're gonna ground check to start.
Hey, hold up. Hey, everybody come back.
The crowd is booing, but I think that what happened is that they stopped to have a discussion of the foul. Robinson rescinded the foul.
Jonna Hamaker, observer for USA Ultimate, with us in the booth. Jonna, question, not specifically about that play. Talk to me about incidental contact versus contact that constitute a foul.
Yeah, it's when it affects continued play is when it's going to be a foul.
Disc will stay with Poly SLO after the errant swing. Over the defender, McKnight, and dropped in the back of the end zone by Robinson.
I am shook.
So is Seamus. The most simple of catches for a score. And now Hawkins across midfield brings in the 50-yard throw from Pignoni. Ben Tamron on this UNC O point gets it to Rutledge Smith. Everybody's legs are feeling fatigued right now. It has been a long weekend here in Madison for everybody. But the big prize at the end of the journey, keeping these players motoring. McKnight slithers it through for Singleton, and the observer rules him in. A drop from Seamus Robinson on one end and a seeing eye baby Frisbee for Singleton at the other. And Darkside leads by 3. Can you believe that?
I feel like I lived 3 lifetimes within that 1 point. We talk sometimes about having it as a break on your own end zone line, and it doesn't get quite closer than that. This one, I think, will haunt everyone in that video, myself and Seamus Robinson's dreams.
Seamus is not a rookie. If that was a rookie, you'd say pancake.
I mean, I think I would still say pancake. At any level, you have to do it, but it was one of those things you think, I've caught this 1,000 times. This is an easy, this is, you know, you're thinking about the next point instead of being in the moment and being super sure. And that small moment of losing focus means that now North Carolina is still up by 3, as opposed to bringing it within 1.
Well, Cal Poly SLO's offensive players needing to take a deep breath. There's a catch from Seamus Robinson. Swings it for Anton Orm, who continues. Active mark from Luke Dewan. And that's a dangerous swing, but it does get to Nelson. Robinson for Brown. Cal Poly SLO living and dying with this group, and that throw up the line was a difficult shot. Robinson comes up empty with a bid.
They keep forcing it into those areas as opposed on away passes, as opposed to really being sure and having someone come back towards the disc.
Intercepted by Whalen. Orm, arguably been Cal Poly SLO's steadiest player. And that throw will find Keaton Orser. At least one more celebratory dance for Beans and SLOCORE. Still just a 2-goal game.
The captain-to-captain connection for SLO, I think, is one of those things that they're looking for. Calvin Brown is usually getting a difficult matchup, but 2 players in that space open over the top really crisp edge on the throw from Orm.
Poly SLO, we talked about how last year playing UMass in the semifinals, you know, they maybe didn't feel like they put their best foot forward in that game against Zudisk. Definitely came to Madison with a feeling of something to prove, knowing the core of players that they brought back, most of whom stay on the field right here. UNC's O-line with McKnight, Pignoni, Smith, Hawkins, Dameron, Singleton, and Eli Freed. This is basically the universe point O-line for UNC. They need to score twice more to get to the final. Brown University awaits the winner. Could be the third time in 5 years that UNC and Brown meet in the finals. Hawkins sending Dameron. Nelson was the peeling off defender, and he gets there.
The crowd absolutely loses it upon that D. Dameron, known for getting those, but I've been so impressed with the deep defense from Cal Poly SLO this weekend.
Here comes Anton Orm with the disc as you take another look at the hustle and the defense from Nelson. Quickly, Orm gets it to Whalen. Right back to Anton. Pignoni. Long-time D-line player bouncing on the mark. Now Rutledge Smith putting the pressure on Kyle Liu.
The cutters for Cal Poly SLO are so far away from the handlers.
Well, it's a good thing if you're going to throw it deep, but Dylan Hawkins was there to make sure that Max Gade had no play. And again, Cal Poly SLO just not able to grind against the UNC defense the way we've seen vice versa on the other side.
Well, you can't make exciting deep cuts if you're already deep.
That's an excellent point too. Dameron sending Smith, multiple defenders, and another Carolina turnover.
The cutters upfield have to keep grinding. They have to make those movements. I know they're tired. I know it's been a long game, but the only way to move the disc is by running it. Or by running so that you can throw it.
Zach Riley, marked by Singleton. Reset for Liu. Can Cal Poly SLO inch within one? It has not been a one-goal game since the score was 3-2. It nearly was a one-goal game a few points ago, but Seamus Robinson dropped a surefire goal. Pignoni, pretty good defense downfield on Orm. Wobbly lefty reset gets to Whalen and then quickly back to Liu. Working with Whalen. The defenders roll. Dameron marks him. This is Riley leading Liu. Hammer over the top. One-goal game. Cal Poly SLOCORE not done yet.
Cal Poly SLO almost running what I would call a dominator. Those three handlers playing by themselves and a huge gap from them to the cutters as they finally find space in that underneath, then going over the top with a hammer fearlessly for the score.
Confident throw from Kyle Liu as he picks up his 3rd assist here in the semis.
We're gonna play a bunch of points in a row. We gotta bring it out.
Yes, sir. Come on, yo. 25.
It's all hard in here. Let's go.
Baby, come on. We love this shit.
That slot.
We love this slot. It's that slot, baby. We're just gonna dive right in. I got my short shorts on. I got my short shirt on. I don't care anymore.
Ultiworld bringing you inside the huddle here at the semifinals of College Nationals. It's a special place to be. We thank you for your support of our coverage. On behalf of everybody with Ultiworld, my partner Katie Killebrew, Evan Lepler, privileged and honored to be with you once again from College Nationals. UNC 13, Cal Poly SLO 12. And there's no doubt who the fans are rooting for.
There is no doubt that the fans doing the wave as they stand on that invisible barrier on the edge of the sideline are all rooting for SLO to make this comeback. The two styles between the half times could not have been more different. SLO hearing their coach say, it's all hard from here, and UNC's O-line looking like it's business as usual for those 7.
Same 7. Smith, McKnight, Pignoni, Singleton, Hawkins, Dameron, and Eli Freed. Collision downfield, 3 bodies on the turf. Thankfully, it appears everybody is okay. Max Gade colliding with Eli Freed. Out of the corner of my eye, did not see exactly what happened. To pick called. Right in the midfield logo here at Redden Soccer Park. Tomorrow, the championship game at the iconic downtown Madison venue, Breeze Stevens Field. Will it be UNC and Brown in the men's final, or will Cal Poly SLO complete another exhilarating and improbable semifinal comeback? A chance to tie the game literally for the first time, and it's through the hands of Calvin Brown right by the front cone.
That disc was maybe out of bounds, really focused on trying to stay inbounds or run it in for a score.
If Cal Poly SLO cannot come back, they're going to have a long, painful reel of plays to grit their teeth at. They have had their chances against the champs. Smooth reset from Freed to Pignoni. Now McKnight bluffs the big backhand. And that floater awkwardly handled by Rutledge Smith to Singleton. To Pick. Disc back with Josh Singleton. UNC looking to score goal number 14. To get within one of another final. Dameron for Smith. The big game reps, the pressure moments that all these guys have played through in the past. Invaluable. Eli Freed had it, lost it on the landing. Appears he called a foul. He was definitely hit on the arm.
angle that those two players were coming at each other was a little bit awkward as well.
Sure was.
So he's saying that offense came into him. I think it's I don't.
These moments between players are so hard. Both of them want it so badly.
Observer rules a foul and reach into his pocket. Yellow card on the bid issued to Alex Nelson. So Freed will have the disc for Carolina on the goal line. Take one more look. Reasonable card. But a drop on the reset by Pignoni. Can you believe it? This is mystical right now. Stunning stuff. Poly SLO gifted another chance to tie, forcing the deep shot. And Calvin Brown, surrounded by Pignoni and Dameron, could not make the play. The plot continues to thicken.
He had a reset and chose the huck instead.
Singleton closing fast. Here's Smith. Pignoni dropped it. Second drop of the point, and Brown sending Robinson. He's got McKnight beat, and this game is tied.
Robinson holding that disc for so long afterwards. He was exceptionally sure with that. And the only thing I am sure of is that I don't know anything, because I did not expect SLO to come back and bring it to tie game here in semis.
3 straight points for Poly SLO. It's a 5-1 run since they were down 12-8. And it has been aided by a bunch of UNC miscues. All the stars of the past have had hiccups. And here's the score. And the extra careful clap catch from Seamus Robinson. I think it's fair to say he stopped the rotation.
I think it's fair to say. It's also, looking at the first half and the second half, I think we saw SLO kind of have those bobbles and missed moments in the first half, and that kind of energy is now catching UNC in this second half.
Despite all the delays and the painful waiting and the lightning and the elements, as unpleasant as they've been, the ultimate, the actual ultimate, continues to deliver. This is still a game to 15, or as you say in practice all the time, game to 2.
Game to 2. All other things being equal, we are back to even. And it has been a long time since we were even.
Obviously, the context is considerable, certainly for North Carolina. 2021 out in Norco, California. Rutledge Smith. Look how much younger he looked then. In 2022 against Brown. North Carolina with their second straight championship, and then Smith to Singleton to finish off UMass last year in Milwaukee.
Seeing another poach look from SLO that's really been stopping the hucking game for North Carolina, making them throw a lot more throws.
Should have said last year in Mason. Mason last year, Milwaukee 2 years ago. This year we're in Madison. North Carolina seeking its 4th straight championship. seeking its 6th straight final. Freed. Back to Pignoni. Back to Freed. Dameron gets free. The same faces playing defense for Cal Poly SLO, and that was dangerous. Max Gade takes out Rutledge Smith's legs, and the observer is going to pull out the yellow again on a Cal Poly SLO bid. There's a fine line between leaving everything on the field
I'm pushing.
trying as hard as possible to get the D and doing something that could put someone at risk. Thankfully, Smith's okay. Carolina continues trying to snap this 3-0 run from SLOCORE. Difficult blading throw, and Rutledge Smith wants it back.
Dameron was open in that open side reset space, but instead opting to go for the end zone.
In any conditions, that's tough. In these conditions, try again. Cal Poly SLO has never led. They were down 3-0. This is the first time they've had the disc with a chance to lead. Because again, they were down 3-0 right out of the gate. A hold and 2 breaks very quickly at the start. But might we be seeing another historic, stunning turn of events? Hanger. Pignoni intercepts. UNC disc. Soft cap going on after this point, doesn't matter. Game to 15, Pignoni for Hawkins. Calvin Brown is there for the block.
We have been treated to some games across the course of the weekend, and right now Calvin Brown is unwilling to let this one be anything but exciting.
Another chance for SLOCORE. As poorly as they've played, all the mistakes that they've made, they have the disc at 13-all and a chance to take the lead on North Carolina Darkside.
Well, you don't have to make no mistakes, you just have to make fewer mistakes.
Could you imagine being an Ultiworld writer and trying to put this game into perspective after the fact? Calvin Brown adding to the story. Alex Nelson brings it in. SLOCORE takes the lead. Gigantic backhand from Calvin Brown. Gutsy throw, remarkable catch. And this is unreal.
North Carolina now has to break to win.
Before that, they need a hold. They haven't done that for a while. Brown, the D, and then the dime. This is a tough catch by Nelson with McKnight nearby.
Big physical plays by both players. Immediately checking on each other when they get up.
Cal Poly San Luis Obispo has never made the national championship game before. That could change with one more point. Trying to deprive the 3-time reigning champions of their 6th straight trip to the finals.
Well, they're on a high, and the crowd is on a high. but I've never seen the crowd really affect what UNC is doing. They play their own game. And this game is not over, Evan.
Certainly not. This game is nuts. It has far since left the bounds of rational thought. We are living in a mysterious new world here in Madison. And after we saw the North Carolina women come back from 4 down earlier on this same field, we're now seeing the North Carolina men surrender a very similar 4-goal lead. And Cal Poly SLO has scored the last 4 goals. A 5th consecutive score would finish off UNC in absolutely bewildering fashion. Difficult throw and a drop. Josh Singleton lost it. Is this the end for Darkside right here? Seamus Robinson for Cal Poly SLO. Back for Kyle Liu. They were down 12-8. They were down 13-10. And they have come from behind to absolutely stun the reigning champions. Cal Poly SLO is going to the finals for the first time ever. And it is pandemonium here in Madison. How can you not love this game? Darkside sees their dynasty denied by Cal Poly SLOCORE. 5 straight goals for the California kids to stun UNC Darkside. Wow.
Coach Cody Mills was saying that it's all hard from here when they took that timeout, and from that moment on, SLO did not let up. The awareness from Nelson as he runs off the field is rushed. Liu throwing the game winner. They have been knocking their head against the door of that finals berth for so long. It looked out of reach. It felt out of reach. The entire crowd lost it, and then it was one moment, one single moment of belief that kept building and building that brought us here. What a special day of Ultimate we have witnessed.
Incredible weekend, and it's not done yet. It'll be Brown and Cal Poly SLO taking the national stage on ESPNU tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern, weather permitting. Take a deep breath, everybody, and try to understand what you just watched. It is a moment that we will be talking about in the realm of Ultimate Frisbee forever. And look, just because North Carolina lost this game doesn't necessarily mean the dynasty is done. But the string of consecutive championships is certainly over. And it's Cal Poly SLO's comeback that does in Darkside. We are joined by SLOCORE captain Anton Orm. Anton, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Anton, thanks for joining us, man. What an unbelievable game. How did you and your teammates keep the faith when clearly things were not going normal and well throughout much of this game?
I mean, it's just belief. It's belief in our guys. Like, we've been there before. We were there last year. You know, we've worked all year for this big moment. with trust in each other, like just belief. You got to keep working. Like every point we go out there, keep working, keep believing in each other, keep grinding. It's all about that grind, and we're just there for each other.
You talk a lot about belief, but what for you was really the turning point in that game?
Honestly, I mean, coming out of that second half, I think like we were down big and we had nothing to lose. We just kept grinding, like kept working with each other, kept believing in each other. Yeah, that's it. Just like believing in each other.
There were so many wild moments. I mean, stunning drops from great players on both teams. And yet at the end, I mean, how many consecutive points did you and Calvin and Kyle and Seamus play to finish this game? How are you feeling right now? I mean, the adrenaline's a powerful drug, but this is game number, what, 6 of the weekend, and these are exhausting conditions.
Sorry, a little trouble hearing you there, but I think I got most of it. Yeah, it was a grind. Legs are definitely a little tired right now. Adrenaline's still pumping. My head's rushing, but yeah, that was a grind of a game. Like, I don't think I've ever put that many points in a game before, but it all came through. Like elements, I mean, it's nicer now, but that first half was definitely a grind too. Yeah, you just gotta keep working through it, believing in each other. But yeah, that was awesome. That was really fun.
You just beat North Carolina. Now you get ready to go to sleep and wake up tomorrow and face Brown for a national championship. What's on your mind when you think about tomorrow?
I mean, we're just going to go home, get some rest, watch some film. But yeah, get ready for that game. It's like a whole new game, whole new day. Get some rest tonight. Come up with a game plan, figure it out, and just come with all of our heart, all of our best players, all of our best, and yeah, just give it our all.
Ice bath tonight?
For sure, definitely.
Congratulations, Anton. A unforgettable performance from you and your teammates, and we will see you tomorrow in the finals.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you, Evan.
Yeah, thank you, Anton. What a performance. What a day. What a weekend of Ultimate here in Madison. Katie, how lucky are we to experience this? Our Discraft play of the game, the final score. There are so many moments in this game that you could highlight. And frankly, so many moments for the blooper reel in this game, too. I mean, it was such a wacky, discombobulating feeling much of the game, but the 5-0 run from Cal Poly SLO is what folks are going to remember the most.
I can just think that we started this tournament with lightning delays and almost nothing, and every round that has happened, we have ramped up and gotten more and more exciting because we're watching players who are absolutely playing for their lives and their seasons and for each other. And I'm stunned, and I'm also so honored to be here to watch it and to be able to bring this special moment to folks at home who aren't standing in the rain.
Too many folks on the Ultiworld team to name, but certainly Charlie Eisenhood leading the way, Aiden Shapiro, Layton, Keith Rayner, the entire Ultiworld production team working long hours that frankly you can't even imagine if you're following from afar. I mean, minimal sleep throughout the last few days, frustration, elements, issues galore, and yet moments like this captured for posterity. The dance moves we could do without, but they're fantastic as well. And my goodness, what a weekend it has been here at the Red Soccer Park. The action moves to Bree Stevens Field, just off the square in downtown Madison tomorrow for Championship Monday. In the women's division, North Carolina and Stanford. And in the men's division, Brown and Cal Poly SLO. We'll see you tomorrow from Bree Stevens Field on ESPNU. For Katie Killebrew and the entire dedicated Ultiworld team, Evan Leffler saying so long. An honor to call this thriller. SLOCORE over Darkside, 15-13.